Welcome, Pewter Report readers, viewers, and listeners, to a brand new edition of the Pewter Pregame Show, brought to you by our friends over at BetUS. It is a special Monday edition of the Pewter Pregame Show as the Bucs are in prime time on Monday Night Football, hosting the Baltimore Ravens in what should be a very fun and entertaining matchup. So we're going to preview it all right here, right now. I'm your host, Matt Matera. Joined with me is my fellow co-host and the face that runs the place at PewterReport.com, SR, Scott Reynolds. Scott, big game for the Bucs. They can get a stranglehold on first place after the Falcons lost yesterday, and also learn a little bit more about themselves as a team going up against a tough Ravens opponent. How are you doing?
Doing good. And I think even more importantly, Vita Vea is doing good. Let's start with the latest injury news. As I post this story on Pewter Reports this morning, it is now 9 a.m. and that story broke about an hour ago. Vita Vea will be playing tonight. He did have that injury that popped up, the hamstring tweak. But from what I was told, it was more of a precautionary measure that the team kept him out of that practice on Saturday. They just want to make sure he rests and doesn't aggravate that injury. He didn't miss any time during the week outside of that Saturday practice. But the good news is he will play. And he did have one of the Bucs' 3 sacks of Lamar Jackson the last time they played. Joe Tryon-Shoyinka got in on the action. Shaq Barrett had one. Unfortunately, that was right before his Achilles injury. But Vita Vea will be in action tonight. That's huge for the Buccaneers because they just got Kalijah Kancey back in action last week, and having that 1-2 punch inside going up against the likes of Tyler Linderbaum, who was one of the best centers in the league, first-round pick from the Ravens a couple years ago, is going to be key. So Kalijah Kancey, Vita Vea, Logan Hall, all ready to go facing Lamar Jackson and this big physical offensive line for the Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah, it's going to be an all-hands-on-deck approach with this Bucs defensive line, the outside linebackers as well, with bottling up Lamar Jackson. He's going to have some opportunities to run. That's just kind of a given when you have a freak of nature, athletically wise, with Lamar Jackson, what he can do as a designed runner, as a scrambler, as a freestyle type of player. And there are certain guys that could use a whole week of practice. There are other guys that, you kind of just need them to show up on Sunday. Whatever they do during the week, so be it. Vita Vea, I put in that latter half of the category. Like, just make sure Vita Vea is available on Sunday or on Monday for this week, and you'll be good to go. I mean, he has been a beast in the middle for the Bucs this season, racking up sacks left and right. Had one last week, like you mentioned, just yanking down Spencer Rattler. Hopefully, he can kind of do that again against Lamar Jackson, not get a penalty or anything like that. But yeah, they're going to need him. The interior has really been the group getting the push and getting after the quarterback. So
that's right.
You need your best guy in there, and hopefully Vita Vea can be healthy enough to play his same amount of snaps that he's had this year, and avoids a big injury again after the knee injury in week 2.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing too is Vita Vea is the one that's gotten the sack party started in each of the last 3 games. He's got a sack, but it's also been the first sack of the game. And he's kind of set the tone up front for what this team has been able to do defensively, stopping the run as well as getting after the passer. And first down is going to be huge in this game. Todd Bowles and his defense, they blitz the second most on first down. Matt, you and I see it every year in training camp. We're out there watching a first down play in a series in practice, and Todd Bowles is bringing a safety, bringing a linebacker, bringing a nickel corner from the slot. It's just what he does. He wants to win first down because if you win first down, chances are you're likely going to be in 3rd and long, and that's where he can show some exotic looks. He can do some different things to confuse the quarterbacks and some disguised coverages as well. It also puts a little bit of a damper on the running game, right? If it's 3rd and 3, 3rd and 2, that's a rundown, right? If it's 3rd and 9, probably not a rundown. So the less opportunities that they have when it comes to getting Derrick Henry the ball, the better for the Buccaneers. They definitely want to bottle Derrick Henry up. They did a good job of that last year when it came to playing him with the Titans. And granted, that was not a good Titans team, right? That Will Levis at quarterback, et cetera. But They did a really good job holding him to, I think, 24 yards rushing and one catch for -4 yards. You
Yeah.
got a gang tackle. When I talked to both Logan Hall and Joe Tryon-Shoyinka this week in the locker room, that was the message. You've got to be a sure tackler and a gang tackler. Stop Derrick Henry before he starts. Get him at the line of scrimmage or behind the line of scrimmage with tackles for loss, because once he gets to the second level, now you're asking a lot for a very undersized secondary to have to make tackles and prevent big runs.
Yeah, I think the biggest difference is, last year in the pictures that we're looking at, the Titans, you knew you had to stop Derrick Henry
Yeah,
and DeAndre Hopkins. And like that was it. So you could overcommit, you could over pursue to just
right.
shutting down Derrick Henry. Tonight's game, and with Henry on the Baltimore Ravens, you don't have that luxury.
Right.
Yes, you want to, I would even say, over pursue and over commit to stopping Derrick Henry. But the Ravens also have Lamar Jackson. They have Zay Flowers. Even their backup running back, Justice Hill, is
Right.
not the easiest guy to defend against. He's a little bit quicker than Derrick Henry. So the gang tackling will have to be important. The Bucs defense has been a little up and down when it comes to just functional tackling. They've had some great tackling games like week 2 against the Detroit Lions. But then
Yeah.
we've seen as well, especially in the open field, when they cannot wrap up a guy, they allow chunk yard plays. A 5-yard gain turns up into a 25-yard gain. So Derrick Henry, obviously Lamar Jackson is priority number 1, but I think pursuing after Derrick Henry has to be priority number 2. You worry about the tight ends, you worry about the wide receivers, but if Derrick Henry can run wild, then this game, can get out of hand pretty quickly just based on not having to do too much.
Yeah. And, speaking of getting out of hand, I love this, Drew. Pound 00. Not me watching the Pewter Report pregame at the office. And, yeah, we love you guys getting up here early. We usually do this on Sunday mornings, right? But, it's a game day. So we're going to do it on Monday morning because we want the latest injury news. We didn't want to talk about the what ifs and all that. Mike Evans will play. Vita Vea will play. Graham Barton will start at center. This will be as a kind of a full strength, all hands on deck game as there is. Simon, the Grill Shack, sup people, 2 p.m. here in the UK. Looking forward to another 4 a.m. finish tomorrow morning. Gotta love the commitment from those Bucs UK fans over there. And Richard Taroka, good morning, 6 a.m. here in LA. So thanks for starting your morning with us here at the Pewter pregame show, presented by BetUS, one of our partners here on Pewter Reports and the preferred place for your sports book. Listen, folks, there were bonuses and there were bonuses. BetUS, with their bonus, they're going to give you 125% bonus on your first 3 deposits. There's a lot of sites out there that'll make that happen for the first bonus, for the first deposit. This is 3 bonuses, first 3 deposits. 125% bonus each time you make a deposit on BetUS, plus 10% gambler's insurance. All you have to do to activate that code is use the promo code Pewter. That will give you the bonus. So go to BetUS and use the promo code Pewter and activate that 125% bonus on your first 3 deposits, plus 10% gambler's insurance. Let's take a look at the line tonight. Matt really hadn't moved much. Tampa Bay is the underdog at home, plus 3.5. What are your thoughts on this?
It makes sense for the line that Vegas has really presented. The Ravens have been an absolute juggernaut the past couple of weeks, and they have Lamar Jackson, and that tends to, favor a lot of guys. And for whatever reason, people just still don't fully believe in the Bucs. And I'm not exactly sure why, because, they've proven it time and time again that they can hang with the big boys. So I'm not saying I'm picking the Bucs to win, but I like the Bucs' chances of covering plus 3.5. And I think the biggest thing to pay attention to is the over of 50 in that game, because the Ravens have been in some shootouts lately. The Bucs scored 51 points on their own last game. So that's a very high number. But the way both of these offenses have been playing, even though it's a high number, it's quite attainable for a Monday night game. And, the more high scoring it is, the more entertaining it is for fans. So, I'd keep an eye on that over.
Yeah, interesting thing is Lamar Jackson has 10 passing touchdowns, 2 rushing touchdowns. No surprise, he's a dual threat quarterback. But they're spread out. It's not one guy who's been that dominant touchdown guy for
Yeah.
Baltimore. Zay Flowers has a touchdown. Rashad Bateman, the other receiver, has 2. Isaiah Likely, kind of the backup tight end, even though he's featured more in the passing game than Mark Andrews, has 3 touchdowns to lead the Ravens. Then we talk about Andrews. He's got a touchdown. The other tight end, Charlie Kolar, has a touchdown as well. 6'7", 267 pounds. He's a big guy. He was Brock Purdy's tight end at Iowa State. Man, he's a third tight end. He could be tight end number 2 on other teams, right? I mean,
Yeah.
he's a good player. Then you have Derrick Henry with the touchdown catch. You mentioned Justice Hill. He could really be a factor tonight because they like to throw the ball to him, and he's got some speed. He is the fastest running back that's healthy on this team. I think Keaton Mitchell might be the fastest, but he suffered a season-ending injury last year during a breakout rookie season. And Justice Hill matched up on Levante David, a KJ Britt. That scares the hell out of me because this guy has some wheels and some moves, a little bit like Sean Tucker in terms of catching and running the ball.
Yeah, I think the biggest matchup for the Ravens really is going to be exploiting KJ Britt.
Yeah.
I'm not even going to throw Levante David in there, but exploiting KJ Britt. And how do they go about it? Is it with the tight ends? Is it with Likely and Andrews, who is going to be looking to have a big game against one of his best friends, Baker Mayfield, even though they don't play on the field at the same time? Or will it be Justice Hill or one of these running backs that can kind of slip away and make a play or whatever it is? I think that is probably where the Bucs may struggle the most. And, you know, it's only been a couple games without Servase Dennis, but there hasn't really been an answer yet for the Bucs of what do they do with KJ Britt besides just relying on him and I guess trusting him. And, you know, hasn't really brought the desired results. I don't think Todd Bowles is going to give up on him or, you know, make an adjustment just yet because, well, that's what Todd Bowles does. He kind of leaves his guys in there and, you know, lets them fend for themselves for better or for worse. So that is probably if I'm a Bucs fan watching this game and I'm thinking about how the Ravens are going to attack the Bucs, that is where I would have my biggest concerns.
Yeah, Isaiah Likely 6'4", 250 pounds. He's the more athletic of the 3 tight ends in terms of fluidity and speed down the field. Andrews is getting up there in age. He's been banged up. He's had some serious injuries, but he's still a red zone threat for sure. Big body, 6'5", 255, presents himself well as a big target. As I mentioned, Charlie Kolar, tight end number 3, 6'7", 267, was Brock Purdy's favorite target at Iowa State. And you look there, and that's Keanu Neal making that tackle from a couple years ago when the Bucs lost to the Ravens 27-22 on Thursday Night Football here at Raymond James Stadium. And they don't really have that big safety, right? And I think that's maybe kind of a little bit of a missing link here in Tampa Bay. Tyke Smith, 5'10", 202 pounds. You got Jordan Whitehead, 5'10", 198 pounds. Antoine Winfield Jr., 5'9", 203. These are kind of solidly built players, sturdy, but not really tall. Don't have that length that you might need covering some of these bigger tight ends, these targets. And then you've got some bigger guys in KJ Britt, 6 foot, 235. Levante David, similarly built, maybe about 230, 6 foot, that don't have maybe the coverage ability necessary to keep up with a guy like Likely down the field. Maybe Levante David in his prime could shut all these guys down, but he's 34, right? So we have to kind of keep that in perspective. So this will be kind of an interesting situation to see how the Ravens, if they kind of jump ball and high point some of these Lamar Jackson passes over these smaller safeties that might be deployed to cover these Ravens big tight ends.
And it's not like Lamar Jackson's going to have to drop back and throw it like 45 times. And I think that's the scariest thing is that they can be calculated when they want to attack kind of the weaknesses of the Buccaneers. And we also have to remember that there's going to be no Jamel Dean and it's going to be Tyreek Funderburk playing at corner. So another matchup where the Ravens may really try to exploit a guy that's, an undrafted rookie corner playing his first start, his second game. He got a lot of playing time against the Saints with how early Jamel Dean was injured, but you look at, again, just more of the weapons that the Ravens have, and that's going to be a pretty difficult matchup. So,
Yeah.
yeah, that's why the over's 50.
Yeah.
It should be very high scoring. Not to say that the Bucs defense and Todd Bowles can't conjure up some stuff to limit the Ravens' effectiveness,
Yeah.
but it is an uphill battle.
Yeah. Christopher Cole says we'll play dime. Valentine A, got to play dime. Rather have Whitehead or Likely or versus Likely or Andrews than Britt. I agree with you on that. I was talking with Josh Capo in our Pewter Report group chat yesterday. We're talking about this. We're kind of figuring out, like, what is Todd Bowles going to do? Is he actually going to play dime? He's actually played base defense versus 12 personnel, which is 2 tight end sets, right? That's Andrews and Likely out there. And so he's played base. Now, he's done that a lot when he had Servassier Dennis in the lineup. Servassier Dennis is out. He's on injured reserve. Not sure if he's going to play again this year. He might need surgery for that shoulder. We'll see how he fares. But and I dropped a couple of stories in the chat that you guys can read. One's from Josh, one's for me, about how they might tackle this 12 personnel look, because the Ravens will get in that and they'll run out of it. They'll also pass out of it because Andrews and Likely are both very good pass catching tight ends. And this is a look here against 13 personnel last week against the New Orleans Saints. And you can kind of see on this particular play how they deployed it, right? You've got 2 edge rushers, Braswell and Anthony Nelson, playing on the left side of the formation. The 3 defensive tackles, Cansey, Vita Vea, and Logan Hall. And then you've got Levante David playing that edge rusher defensive end type position there, as moving down from the linebacker level. Then you've got Jordan Whitehead essentially as a linebacker, as this nickel linebacker here, along with KJ Britt. So this is just one look of how Todd Bowles went up against this type of personnel grouping. And we'll see how he's going to combat this. I think that you're going to see Todd Bowles use a lot more heavy personnel, maybe even 4 defensive linemen, including Will Golston, on early downs, on first down, and also blitz. He likes to try to win first down. And I think that he wants to get Lamar Jackson to have to beat his defense in the pocket passing the ball. If he can make that happen, he likes his chances. Now, Matt, as you mentioned, and we're going to get to our matchups in just a second after these super chats, it's going to be really fascinating because the Ravens now, they've got Zay Flowers, and you might say, okay, fine, put Zion McCollum on him, have him chase him around the field. That might be one way to deploy Zion McCollum. But then Tyreek Thunderberg on Rashad Bateman, who has 16 yards per catch average this year, former first-round pick, kind of coming into his own finally. And even Nelson Aguilar, who, even though he's getting up there in age, he's a Tampa native, Matt. He's going to want to show out before the hometown. So Tyreek Thunderberg is really going to be an interesting guy to watch tonight to see if he can step up and play better than he did in his first action last week, or if he is going to be that weak link that is targeted over and over again by Todd Monken, the offensive coordinator for the Ravens.
And I wonder how much man-to-man Todd Bowles is going to require or ask of from his defense, because with a guy like Lamar Jackson, you play man-to-man, that means you have corners and safeties that are, looking at the person they're covering and not the quarterback themselves. And if Lamar Jackson gets out of the pocket and is running, well, he could just get 30 yards before anyone realizes, we got to turn around and go after Lamar Jackson. So, Todd likes to play a lot of zone as it is, and they may force him to be doing it even more just based on the quarterback itself and his running ability, let alone his passing ability. And then if you do go man-to-man, Thunderberg got beat a couple of times. The coaches were polite about it when speaking to them, after the game and during the week. They were, not trying to ruin his confidence or anything. Right. But, if he got beat a little bit against the Saints and Spencer Rattler, well, what's going to happen with Lamar Jackson and a much better opponent in the Baltimore Ravens. So a big thing to look out for in this game. We love looking out for super chats too. So let's get it rolling with that. First of all, thanks to a little bit of a name change with Paul, a.k.a. OG Baker Bro, who gifted 1 Pewter Report membership.
Appreciate that, Paul.
Very, very kind of you. Thank you. You do it all the time, and we are grateful for it. Speaking of greats, Easy the Great with a $1.99 super chat says, fire those effing cannons. Let's go, Bucks. That's right. Joel Regan Joel L. Regan, thank you for the $2 super chat. Says,
Yes, thank
happy
you.
game day. Go Bucks. Yeah, special Monday edition of the Pewter Game Day show or pregame show. Thanks to, once again, Paul, a.k.a. OG Baker Bro, $5 super chat.
Yeah.
As Paul says, you should hear Browns fans melting down on the radio this morning.
Yeah.
We got rid of Baker for this. It is a glorious day in Cleveland.
Yeah.
Yeah, saw some Jameis Winston for the Browns late in that game. He was the emergency quarterback and threw a touchdown pass. But yeah, the Browns are certainly having buyer's remorse when it comes to that situation. Bucks Basement, thanks for the $5 super chat. I'll be at the game. Let's get this W. Also, Atlanta got blown out by not good Seahawks. We got revenge on our mind, and Cousins isn't throwing for 500 again.
Let's hope so. Interesting that this game has the Bucs' attention. There's not going to be any look ahead to the Falcons.
Yes.
But boy, this is quite the stretch here, right, for the Buccaneers. You talk about measuring stick after measuring stick after measuring stick game. They passed the first test, right, in Detroit in week 2, beating the Lions, still one of the better elite teams in this league. Now they have this measuring stick. We talked about this when the schedule came out, Matt. This is kind of that gauntlet stretch for the Buccaneers. They've got the Falcons. Really, their best chance at winning the division is going to come if they sweep, or I should say, if they avoid getting swept by Atlanta and getting this win to tie up that series at 1-1. If they lose next week to the Falcons at home, they will continue the creamsicle curse because they have not won, like, it'll be like 5 games in a row in the creamsicles that they have lost. And not more importantly, though, not just that, but more importantly, they will, they'll have an uphill battle against Atlanta, and really need Atlanta to stumble to have to make up for getting swept by the Falcons. Then you've got that Monday night game at Kansas City, and then the 49ers come to town here before the bye week. So this is a big stretch where the Buccaneers in 3 out of the next 4 games will have played 3 of the teams that were in the Final Four last year. And it starts tonight with the Baltimore Ravens.
At least kind of looking at it down the stretch, again, Atlanta coming off of a bad game, so maybe you can catch them at the right time. The 49ers do not look like the Super Bowl appearing team from a season ago. So the 49ers got some things to work out. Yeah. But yeah, regardless, it is it is quite a difficult stretch. But hey, they win tonight and they're off to a pretty good start on it.
Yeah.
Paul, a.k.a. OG Baker Bro, with a $2 super chat. Hainsey starting tonight? ?
No, Graham Barton is off the injury report, so he is available for the game tonight. I think the expectation is that he will start. Robert Hainsey played awfully well in New Orleans, though, and I think if Graham Barton has that hamstring kind of tweak up again during this game, wouldn't be surprised if we see Robert Hainsey step in there because the team has full confidence in him. But as it stands right now, Graham Barton is good to go. Rashad White will play tonight. Vita Vea will play tonight. Mike Evans will play tonight. Evans was taken off the injury designation. This extra time has helped his hamstring, as we said it would, and he is going to be starting and good to go tonight. Speaking of tonight, Pewter Game Day comes up at 8:21. So make sure that you check that out at 8:15 tonight, October 21st. That is today. 8:15. That is tonight. Pewter Game Day. Matt Matera, Josh Capo. We got some friends from WDAE. I know Aaron Jacobson will be on. T-Kraz from The Drive will also be on tonight. So make sure you check out all of the reaction to the action, all of the insight and analysis that you're going to get from Josh Capo and from Matt Matera, who's in the locker room every single day and getting the inside scoop on this team. We've had a blast doing this, and we know that there's a lot of Buccaneer fans that are going to be at the game tonight. Here's the cool thing. You got your phone in your pocket, bring some AirPods, put them in, listen to the reactions and listen to the insight that Matt is going to have while you're watching the game live. Or if you're at home on TV, that's the way to do it too. Turn on the TV sound, watch the game on TV, and turn up the volume on Pewter Game Day. Now you can check that out on pewterreport.com, Pewter Report TV, our YouTube channel. It will also be streaming live on X and Facebook at Pewter Report. So lots of great ways you can check out Pewter Game Day tonight. And we would be remiss if we if we didn't tell you about, because it's going to come up in less than a week. We have Pewter game day next week against the Falcons. Same schedule. Pewter Report TV, pewterreport.com, on X and on Facebook at Pewter Report. And of course, then we're just going to kick off at 9 a.m. next Sunday. Pewter pregame, Bucs Falcons, creamsicle game. This is going to be a huge game after tonight's huge game, Matt.
Yeah, a lot of great things to look forward to. It's fun when the Bucs have not all or nothing games, but games with big time ramifications. So very much looking forward to it. Thanks to Todd G for this $1.99 super chat. Is Vita playing? I'll give him my hamstring. It's very kind of you. Luckily, you don't have to give your hamstring
Right.
because Vita's hamstring is good enough to go for the game, and they're certainly going to need him. Bucks Basement, thanks for this $2 super chat. Chance we can trade for edge help from the Browns, who are certainly imploding, and now Deshaun Watson's going to be out for the year.
Yep. I mean, I guess you're talking about Myles Garrett. I don't know that the Buccaneers are going to be making that type of move. They like their personnel. They like Chris Braswell. He's on a path towards becoming a really good player, they believe. And remember, Yaya Diaby did not have any sacks until week 8 last year. We're only in week 6, but he didn't have, or I guess this is week 7 now. They played 6 games. He didn't have any sacks until week 8 when he got his first sack against Josh Allen. He exploded down the stretch, 7.5 sacks. Didn't even start until really that 49ers game, Matt. So I think right now they have Joe Tryon-Schwenka. He knows this defense. He's a bit of a joker. He can be a chess piece for Todd Bowles, doing a lot of things. Not saying Myles Garrett couldn't help this team. Not saying that at all. He certainly could. He's a double-digit sacker, one of the premier pass rushers in this league. But they still have Yaya Diaby on one side. It would be tantalizing to have Myles Garrett on the other side, no doubt. But Anthony Nelson has a couple of sacks. I just don't see them parting ways with premium draft capital for next year just to get a pass rusher when they feel like they've got a couple of young guys in the hopper and Diaby and Braswell that are developing. And Matt, this team's going to need an inside linebacker next year. They're going to need another cover corner next year, possibly to supplant Jamel Dean. They're going to need a playmaking tight end to really unleash and unlock this offense. They have some needs. Not saying outside linebacker is not one of them, but it just doesn't seem like Jason Light would part ways with premium draft capital just to get an edge rusher. Remember, he gave up a 3rd-round pick for Jason Pierre-Paul back in 2018.
Yeah, I mean, if that's the same price for Myles Garrett, I would say do it.
Do it.
Absolutely.
Right.
But I don't think that's going to be the case. And they've addressed outside linebacker the past couple of years. I mean, Yaya Diaby, Jose Ramirez, I know later round pick, but Marquise Watts as well.
Second
Braswell this year. Like, you put time and investment in these players, you got to let it play out a little bit. If the Bucs truly feel like they are a Super Bowl contender this year, and the window is now with Baker and Mike under contract and Chris Godwin's still here, we'll see what happens after the season. Then maybe you sprinkle a little bit more towards getting that premier edge rusher. But also the Bucs have had 15 sacks in their last 3 games. Like, they're getting to the quarterback. I know there's not that one guy that on every single down you're like, oh, this guy's coming. He's going to get the quarterback. They don't have that Myles Garrett, TJ Watt type of edge rusher.
Or even Shaq Barrett in his prime.
So they're getting by. If it trends in the wrong direction over the next couple games, we can readdress it. But it depends on the price. Thanks to Redfish for this $1.99 super chat. Just logged in. Is Evans really okay?
I mean, he's got a hamstring injury. He's not 100%. He's got a little bit of a knee injury. He's not 100%. He's going to play. He's well enough to play, though. That's the good thing. This extra time with this game being Monday night instead of like Sunday at noon, or I should say 1 o'clock, has bought him a little bit more time. And he did clear the injury reports designation on Saturday, so he's not even on it as questionable. He will play tonight. That is good news. But again, having this little bit of extra time, not even like Monday at 1 o'clock, it's Monday night, that extra couple hours of rest and recovery and treatment will help Mike Evans tonight.
Yeah, hopefully he can do something. I'm not overly confident in it just based on that injury, but we'll see. Redfish with another super chat. Thank you for this $4.99 super chat. Says one more question. When Palmer's okay, who gets taken out? Shannon
I think he means
has played
Sterling.
well. Yeah,
Sterling's
I think he
yeah.
means Sterling as well. Baker's old teammate, is it Cameron Johnson? Baker's teammate, Johnson?
Yeah. Well, I mean, Trey Palmer is playing tonight. He did clear concussion protocol. He was a full participant in practice. So Liam Cohen will have number 3 receivers at his disposal tonight. Trey Palmer, who had a touchdown in the Bucs last game that he played in, which was the win over the Eagles. Jalen McMillan, who returned to action, did not have a great game or even a good game against the Falcons, returning punts. And I think you're going to see Trey Palmer returning punts today. And then Sterling Shepard, who's kind of manned that position as the old wily veteran at age 30. So the good news is there are 3 different options for Baker Mayfield and Liam Cohen to deploy in this game at wide receiver 3. And I think it's going to be almost like the running back situation, Matt. They're each going to get a series, see who's more effective, who's kind of feeling it, who's in a rhythm, and then maybe ride that guy. But at the same time, too, this is good news because if Mike Evans does tweak that hamstring or that knee and has to come out and doesn't play a full complement of snaps like he usually does, then you've got a guy like Palmer in the game for him. Then you have a guy like Sterling Shepard in the game for him, or even Jalen McMillan. So the cup is getting fuller now at the wide receiver position when it was a little dire just a couple weeks ago.
Right. Crazy how quickly it turned around with all the injuries and availability at wide receiver and a lot of auditions going on for the Bucs, whether it's running back and having all 3 guys go or wide receiver. I mean, we heard Liam Cohen say this week they need more production from their 3rd string wide receivers. Now, he didn't mention anyone specifically as for who they need the most production from. But yeah, it does seem like it's going to be a committee and it's going to be riding the hot hand of who's playing the best at wide receiver 3. So a good audition tonight. I'm curious to see how much McMillan will play based on his poor performance last week and how much that injury is kind of limited him, even though he's healthy enough to keep playing. But let's keep it rolling with the super chats. Thanks to Gavin Robinson for this $5 super chat, who says, made it here all the way from Wyoming for Monday Night Football. First time in Tampa.
Very cool.
Just wondering, besides walk-ons, what's another good place for food out here? Go Bucs.
Yeah, walk-on certainly one of our preferred destinations of choice too. We'll tell you about that in a second. People in the chat, we'll open this up to you. If you want to help out Gavin here and give him some of your favorite recommendations, you can certainly do so. Loved my time in Wyoming when it went to Montana last year around this time to see some fall weather in October, and made it down to Wyoming to go through Yellowstone, or at least part of Yellowstone, because it's massive. Had a great time there. And Gavin, you're going to have a great time if you do go to walk-ons. There's 3 locations to serve you in the Tampa Bay area. One up here by my neck of the woods in Wesley Chapel, one in Lakeland, and then one down there by the stadium at the Midtown Tampa location by Matt. So make sure you check out walk-ons while you're in town.
Game day at walk-ons is just different. And it starts with the way our teammates prep each dish from our scratch menu. No shortcuts. We are hand-cutting every single mozzarella log straight from the block. Hand peeling, stuffing, and bacon wrapping each voodoo shrimp. Hand carving ribeyes for our steaks and po' boys. And hand slicing, then tossing our boneless wings and our house-made sauces. With wall-to-wall TVs and food like this, why would you want to watch anywhere else? That's game day. The walk-ons way.
Here's the cool thing about walk-ons on Mondays, folks. Monday Night Football, you see that happy hour, 3 p.m. to close. That means you get happy hour all the way through until the end of the game. $3 happy hour pours, $3.99 domestic pints, $4 house wine, $5.49 22-ounce domestic drafts. $6 gets you either fried pickles or small waffle cheese fries. $7 gives you the boom boom shrimp or queso dip. $8 the boneless wings, and my favorite, the cheeseburger sliders. Tomorrow, hopefully it's a Victory Tuesday, all-day happy hour at walk-ons from open to close, including $5 Tito's. You get a couple shots at happy hour on Wednesdays and Thursdays, 3 p.m. to 6, and then 9 p.m. to close. It's a great place to watch Thursday Night Football. And then Fridays, 3 p.m. to 6. Visit walkons.com for more information.
Yeah, shout out to Gavin getting to the game. Hope you have a fantastic time. Moving along, Todd G, thanks for the $4.99 super chat. Thanks, Maui. Honestly, Vitas Hammy at 10% is much more valuable than mine.
Yeah, we appreciate the super chat and the comedy very much. Redfish helping us out with some more super chats tonight. When
Yeah,
Paul,
thanks, Redfish, for the 4.99 super chat. When Palmer returns, which receiver gets dropped? Shepard has played well, so is Johnson deactivated. Will be listening tonight. We appreciate
yep.
that. Yeah, who
Well,
does get dropped?
look, really, Cameron Johnson is out tonight. He has that ankle
Yeah,
injury that kept him out last week. So kind of by default, he is that player that will not be playing. So he's inactive.
yeah,
And I think that might continue, right? If they're going to address, 5 receivers, then you have them active. But right now they're going with, well, they have 5 now active. So if they choose to activate 6, which would be a little much, especially with Bucky Irving and Sean Tucker doing kick return duties,
yeah.
then maybe you see Johnson stay active. But as it stands right now, I think the wild card in this is Raheem Jarrett. When he comes
Yes,
back,
that's what I was thinking.
yeah, when he comes back, then they'll have some decisions to make about who to maybe put on the practice squad, right? If Sterling Shepard goes back down, or if a player like Cameron Johnson, if they take a chance with him, or maybe they get Raheem Jarrett healthy. He hasn't really done anything in the NFL. Maybe they release him and then sign him back to the practice squad. That's always an option as well.
Yeah, and you have to consider the elevations that Shepard had as well. So
Yeah.
we'll see. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it.
Yep. Well, we talked about Bet US in terms of the point spread, and now let's take a look at which is 3.5 plus 3.5 for Tampa Bay. They're the home underdogs. Let's take a look at the matchups to watch, sponsored by Bet US. Bucs offense versus Ravens defense. We saw Luke Gedeke return to action last week in New Orleans, Matt. He was a little rusty. Kyle Van Noy, old man, still getting it done, leading the Ravens with 6 sacks. How do you like this matchup right here?
I respect what Kyle Van Noy is doing this year, but I'm going to go with Luke Gedeke. I mean, he has been, when healthy and available, typically has been a stalwart for the Buccaneers. I think getting to play last week was a nice way to reintroduce him back into the offense, and just, he missed a lot of time with a concussion. That's something that's a pretty serious thing. So I think just getting his feet wet last week is going to help him even more against a even tougher opponent. So Van Noy's going to give him a couple different issues, but the fact that he's not like a crazy speed guy at this point of his career, I'm going to take Gedeke.
Yeah, I'm gonna give this a push a little bit. I like what Luke Gedeke did last week, shaking off some rust. Kyle Van Noy, though, is just kind of having a little bit of a special season for Baltimore. They're going to move him around. He'll get some snaps against Tristan Wirfs too, but by and large, he rushes from the left side against the right tackle. I respect Van Noy. He's a crafty guy that can rush inside or outside with power, with speed, still getting it done. I'm going to give this a push. Next up, we've got the Bucs running backs, and we say running backs because the plan is to use all 3. I think it's going to be mostly Buck and Tuck, but we are going to see some Rachaad White, according to Liam Cohen, versus Roquan Smith, who is really a tackling machine. Now, they have another good inside linebacker in Trenton Simpson, a rookie from Clemson, who's kind of a sideline-to-sideline speed guy like Roquan Smith, but Smith is one of the best tacklers in the game. He's also not too shabby in coverage. Who do you like in this matchup here between Roquan Smith and whoever's running the ball for the Buccaneers? Sean Tucker, Bucky Irving, or Rachaad White?
While I'm very excited about how the running back room is going to look, how everybody is deployed, I'm going with Roquan Smith. I mean, he was leading the Ravens in tackles. He was, top 10 in the league in tackles as well. He's been a huge addition for them ever since he came over to Baltimore after playing for, I believe, Chicago. He could put a huge stop to this run game that the Bucs got off the ground, no pun intended, last week. He sees the game differently. He embodies the physical nature that the Baltimore Ravens have, and it was great what Sean Tucker did. It was also against the Saints team that is clearly spiraling. Can he continue to do that each week? How does Rachaad White look? And Bucky Irving, are you going to get the guy that, I mean, he's been pretty solid all year, but he's made some rookie mistakes so far. So I'm going to go with Roquan Smith, though I am still very excited about the Bucs running backs.
Yeah, I mean, he is a one-man gang, right? I mean, we're talking about the Ravens defense, and they're a phenomenal unit, but this guy is the leader. Roquan Smith is no joke. He gets it done for them. He is leading the Ravens by 20 tackles. That's how much of a one-man gang he is. And they're an active unit. I mean, they'll tackle you from anywhere on the field. But Roquan Smith has 56 tackles. Kyle Hamilton, who is their star safety, is next with 36. That's 20 more tackles. 3 pass breakups, also has an interception. He's really good in coverage. So I'm with you. I think I've got to give the respect where it's due, and that's Roquan Smith. And we'll see. I'm not saying the Bucs running backs can have success, but in this individual matchup, I like Roquan Smith. Now, speaking of individual matchups, Cody Mauch has made some strides this year. He's got another tall test to pass. Nnamdi Madubuike. Now, this was Justin Madubuike up until this past year. He's gone by a new name. But Madubuike, one of the best quick twitch, powerful defensive tackles. And for the Ravens, they're not just the outside linebackers, Owe and Van Noy. They have some rushers from the inside, and that's led by Madubuike.
Yeah, I'm not fully trusting of Cody Mauch just yet, so I'm going to go with Madubuike. He's got power. He can get after the quarterback a little bit too. And again, just another Ravens guy that embodies the physicalness of what this group wants to be. So I think Cody Mauch's going to have a little bit of a tough time going up against him. Hopefully they can do some double teams, things of that nature. But I can't trust Cody Mauch just yet.
Yeah, you look at the Ravens. Kyle Van Noy leading the team in tackles for loss with 8 tackles for loss. Madubuike tied for second with 3. That's even more than Roquan Smith has. I'm with you. I like Cody Mauch's development. It's a little slower than I would like it to be, but Madubuike is getting the job done inside for the Ravens. Chris Godwin versus Marlon Humphrey. This is interesting because he had a great matchup last week against Alontae Taylor, and I think he passed, right? 125 yards and 2 touchdowns. Godwin will be another focal point against this Ravens game, or this Ravens defense in tonight's game. And the thing with Humphrey is interesting. He's kind of like the old school Rondé Barber. He'll play outside in base defense. Then you move him into the slot in nickel defense. He doesn't stay outside. He moves inside to the slot in nickel. And that means he's more likely to get that matchup with Chris Godwin. And they'll have on the outside, especially when the Buccaneers are playing 3 wide receivers, they bring in their rookie cornerback from Clemson, and then he will man the outside cornerback position. So how do you like this matchup here between Marlon Humphrey? I'm talking about Nate Wiggins, of course. Marlon Humphrey and Chris Godwin.
I don't think anybody can doubt what Chris Godwin can do anymore. I don't understand why there were concerns like at the beginning of the season, but he is. I mean, he's not just playing well; he's fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean, up until all the Sunday games, he was first in the league in catches, third in the league in receiving yards, and I think the biggest thing is that he's being productive in so many different ways. Like he can run any route, you can hit him on a deep shot. Last week he had the catch and run against the Saints, so you literally just have to put the ball in his hands, and he makes it work. I'm at the point with Chris Godwin where it doesn't matter who's covering him.
I'm with you.
It's Chris Godwin all day. I mean, he is playing at an all-pro level. So the answer has to be Chris Godwin.
I'm with you on that, Matt. Quarterback Baker Mayfield versus strong safety Kyle Hamilton. Hamilton, one of the better safeties in the league. Of course, Tampa Bay plays some good safeties with the likes of Jesse Bates and Justin Simmons in the division in Atlanta, for example. Baker has thrown 5 interceptions this year, 3 of which have been to safeties. One of those was a deflection, of course, by John Abram last week. But it's something to kind of keep in mind, too, because Kyle Hamilton will patrol the middle of the field. He will blitz off the corner. He is one of those chess pieces for the Ravens defense. How do you see this matchup between Mayfield and Kyle Hamilton?
This is a really fun matchup because Baker's playing at an MVP level, and Kyle Hamilton I put up there in the same category as Antoine Winfield Jr. It's just a game-changing safety that can do a little bit of everything that may be asked of him in a defense, can take the ball away as well. So because of that, I'm going to go with a push. Some of Baker's interceptions haven't really been on him. I don't know if he enjoys it, but I think he does a good job with the overall chess match of going up against some more talented safeties. So because of that, I'll go with a push.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Let's take a look at our defensive matchups. And just if you're joining us just now, good news is Mike Evans will play. Vita Vea will play. Trey Palmer has cleared concussion protocol. He will play. Graham Barton will start at center tonight. He is healthy and available. So Rashad White will also play. So the Buccaneers are just about at full strength. The only players missing tonight, and this will show up in one of our key matchups here. Jamel Dean is out, along with Cameron Johnson. Both of those players are out, as well as tight end Payne Durham. That means that Devin Culp will see his first action.
Yeah.
He's been inactive every game so far during his rookie season. He's a 7th-round pick. But let's take a look at these matchups here. Vita Vea tonight will play against Tyler Linderbaum. He did get a sack against Linderbaum and Lamar Jackson the last time they played back in 2022. How do you see this heavyweight matchup between two of the best in the league, both Pro Bowl caliber players?
Another great matchup. The fun thing with Vita Vea is that he has a knack for making some of the best offensive linemen in the league look like mere mortals. And that just shows how good Vita Vea is as a nose tackle. I think being rested by not having to practice on Saturday will actually help. I understand the hamstring can be an issue and can flare up at times. We have to remember with Kalijah Cansey back, maybe that limits the amount of double teams that the Ravens will have against Vita Vea specifically. And he's just on a roll right now, getting that push, getting after the quarterback. So as much as I can appreciate the game of Tyler Linderbaum, I'm going to go with Vita Vea just based on previous matchups. And it really doesn't matter who he's going against. He's going to try to get the better of you.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think Vita Vea is healthy. I expect him to get a sack in this game. I expect it to probably be the first sack. He's on quite the roll. So, yeah, I do like Vita Vea slightly over Linderbaum, but I respect him as one of the better centers in this league. Our Bet US key matchups continues. Bucs defense versus Ravens offense. Bucs inside linebackers versus Derrick Henry. What are your thoughts on King Henry and the tackling prowess of KJ Britt and Levante David?
Yeah, this is interesting to me because I do think there is an avenue for the Bucs to slow down and limit Derrick Henry. I don't know how much it'll be the inside linebackers versus just an overall group effort, a collective of everybody from Vita Vea and Kalijah Cansey on the D line to Yaya Diaby. So I'm gonna go with Derrick Henry specifically against the linebackers, but I do think you add everybody involved. I mean, Derrick Henry is very strong, but if you have 6 guys tackling him, he's not going to get through that. So I actually feel more confident in the Bucs' ability to stop Derrick Henry, but maybe not necessarily the linebackers getting it done.
I'm going to agree with you. I think you nailed it. Spot on with your analysis there. I agree wholeheartedly. The Bucs safeties versus the Ravens tight ends. This is going to be really key. Who's going to draw these assignments on Isaiah Likely? Who's a very athletic guy that can stretch the field. Great pass catching tight end. Mark Andrews, Baker Mayfield's best friend, still getting it done despite the fact that he's overcome some injuries. Charlie Kolar, also a factor. It's going to be interesting to see these smallish safeties, none of which are 6 foot, going up against these giant 6'4", 6'5", 6'7" tight ends with the Ravens. And we'll see who can get this done. How do you like this pairing here? The Bucs safeties and nickel. We'll include Tyke Smith in there versus whoever the Ravens line up in the slot.
Yeah, another fascinating matchup in terms of just kind of the pieces and the parts that, Todd Bowles will deploy. Like even Jordan Whitehead, I think shot out of a cannon earlier this season, but is kind of slowed down as some injuries have picked up against him. We know the Ravens tight ends are going to be used early and often. One way or another. I mean, if Antoine Winfield Jr. is in coverage, he's an all-pro. Tyke Smith was tremendous last game. So I'm going to go with a push. I think each side will kind of have its moments.
Yeah, I think you're right. I can see both sides having some plays. I think whether it's Tyke Smith or Antoine Winfield Jr., one of those guys comes away with a takeaway tonight, but I could also see a Likely or Mark Andrews touchdown tonight as well. So I can definitely see some give and take here in this matchup. I'm going to go with the push as well. Rounding out the last two matchups, Yaya Diaby versus Roger Rosengarten, who was a rookie out of Washington, second-round pick,
Yeah.
was a protector for Michael Penix during that Washington national championship run last year. He has done a pretty decent job playing right tackle, has not been a season-long starter. They had to move their right tackle to left guard to help out with some injuries there. But how do you see this matchup here? Yaya Diaby's done everything but get the sacks, but he's really been a factor in terms of getting pressure. Missed mobile quarterback Jaden Daniels for a couple of sack opportunities in week one. Can he corral Lamar Jackson after he gets around Roger Rosengarten tonight?
Yeah, Rosengarten was at the Senior Bowl, and I was a fan of him and what he did there. Now, this is a completely different situation. I'm picking Yaya, but if Yaya doesn't have an impactful moment in this game, I can't confidently choose him for other games moving forward. I get it. The pressures are good. He's helped out in the run, but he's there to get after the quarterback. So I know Lamar Jackson's very difficult. I'm picking Yaya, but come through, Yaya, because I can't keep picking you if you're not going to get to the quarterback.
I think that he is going to have a little bit of a breakout tonight on national television. I predict a sub-zero sack by Yaya Diaby on Roger Rosengarten against Lamar Jackson. So I'm going to pick Yaya in this matchup. This will be maybe the telltale matchup of the game. Bucs rookie cornerback Tyrick Funderburk going up against the Ravens wide receivers. Now, we say that because Todd Monken will probably try to isolate Zay Flowers or Rashad Bateman on Funderburk, the undrafted free agent out of Appalachian State. And he gave up a touchdown last week. Probably good that he got some playing time early in that game. Almost played the entire game because Jamel Dean got hurt in the first quarter. But whether it's Bateman, who is a bigger guy that can stretch the field, whether it's Zay Flowers, a smaller, quicker yards after catch lightning bolt, or Nelson Aguilar, who's a capable wide receiver 3 coming back to Tampa, his hometown. How do you see this matchup here with the young Funderburk?
I look forward to seeing how Funderburk will grow and develop as a player. But with all of that said, he's kind of thrown into a tough situation here. First career start, second game against a difficult Ravens team. They're going to pick on him. They're going to target him often. So I'm going with the Ravens wide receivers, but that doesn't mean he can't be a good corner by the end of the season or later on in his career. But for tonight, it has to be the Ravens receivers, despite the positive outlook Jacko Bluntly has.
Yeah, I'm with you, Matt. I agree with you, but Jacko Bluntly sees things differently. He says Funderburk will get a pick tonight. Well, that would be a heck of a coming out party on Monday Night Football, if that is the case. Let's take a few more super chats here before we call it a day for this show. But keep in mind, this is the daytime show that you get the Pewter pregame show prior to kickoff every game day morning. And of course, we will have Pewter pregame next Sunday at 9 a.m. prior to the Bucs Falcons game. And we've got Pewter game day coming up tonight. So make sure you stay tuned to that. 8:15, log on to Pewter Report TV, pewterreport.com, or our X or Facebook channels at Pewter Report. And you can check out Matt Matera, Josh Capo, and WDA's T. Kraz and Aaron Jacobson tonight. So let's take a few more super chats, Matt, before we wrap up the show.
Yeah, thanks to Baby Boy to the Man for this $3 super chat. Says, with 87 Payne Durham out this week, do we get a Culp sighting? Yeah, I believe that's the case. The Culp of personality making his NFL debut. Has some speed to his game. Had some nice moments in training camp. Hopefully he can do something tonight in the game.
Yep.
And yeah, good for him. First career start. First career game.
We saw Sean Tucker have to wait his time patiently, be inactive for most of the season last year, then had a chance to burst on the scene. We'll see if Devin Culp has an opportunity to catch the ball. What's been holding him back from being active is special teams. He just, being a part-time starter at Washington, didn't play a bunch of special teams. So that's kind of what's been keeping him at tight end number 4, which is basically inactive. It would have taken an injury to Auden Payne or O'Keefe to get active on game day, and that's happened now with Durham being out.
Thanks to Paul Connor for this $5 super chat. Who or what do you think is the biggest key to beating the Ravens tonight? I think it's slowing down Lamar and Henry. but can we do that without Vea? Well, luckily Vita Vea is playing.
Yep. For me, it's tackling. This team in the 2 games they've lost to Atlanta and to Denver, they have had poor tackling performances on defense, allowing yards after the catch, allowing yards after contact in the running game. They've got to wrap up. You cannot afford to miss Lamar Jackson. When you have a chance to bring him down, you do that. When you have a chance to bring down Derrick Henry, you do that. So even Zay Flowers, who is a tremendous yards after the catch receiver, you make sure that when he catches the ball, he hits the ground. So for me, it's tackling on defense, and then it's also winning the takeaway battle. It's having more takeaways, and this is usually an indicator for success, but against an elite team, Tampa Bay's got to do a better job of protecting the ball. They did not do that with 3 interceptions last week, not all on Baker Mayfield, but 3 turnovers nonetheless. They were able to create some takeaways last week. And of course, the scoop and score from Antoine Winfield Jr. helped. But Matt, I think that they have got to come out on the positive side of the turnover battle tonight. You don't beat good teams by losing the turnover battle, or even if it's a push, even if it's 1-1 or 0-0, 2-2. Tampa Bay's got to find a way to end up with more takeaways than giveaways tonight, I think, to have a chance against the Baltimore Ravens. We have a chance to hit 16,000 subscribers on YouTube. So if you haven't done so, please hit the subscribe button on our Pewter Report TV YouTube channel. We are 28 subscribers away, so we should hit that tonight. If you guys cooperate during this show, also during the Pewter Game Day show tonight at 8:15, plus our Pewter Report podcast, our post-game podcast tonight. I'll be at the stadium. Matt will be in studio. Please help us get to 16,000 tonight. That would be awesome. Win or lose, it will be a huge win for Pewter Report if you help us achieve that milestone.
Yeah, and you guys are great. I know the Thursday night game against the Falcons wasn't the ideal result, but you guys still came out for the post-game podcast as well. So
Yes,
hopefully this one will be a Bucs win that we could talk about. So we'll have the Pewter post-game show after Pewter Game Day once the Bucs game is done. And a lot of exciting stuff to look forward to for tonight's game. So that's going to do it for us this morning. For Scott Reynolds, I'm Matt Matera. Oh, hold on. We got a late super chat. Thank you to Baby Boy to Demand. Thanks for this $5 super chat. With Britt being such a liability in coverage, why doesn't Bowles use Russell in coverage more? Eye test says he's better.
Maybe he will tonight. Maybe that's the secret
Hopefully.
that we don't know about just yet.
JJ
I do too.
I want JJ Russell to get some opportunities.
I'm with you.
They just haven't done it yet. So maybe tonight will be the night. So for Scott Reynolds, I'm Matt Matera saying thanks everybody for watching, and we'll see you again soon for another Pewter pregame show. Out. Thanks to Eric Moreno for this $5 super chat. Vita Vea is playing, so looking forward to it.
Thank you.
Out.